Hey, you guys, how are you? How are you? What is going on? It is what? Friday. Yes. So I'm waiting for people to come on. We are so excited. We are 1 week away from what our signature event that we have every quarter. Yes, Sharp, Sexy Sisters. And this time we are going to hear from the voices from our brothers. So, you know what I always say, get your cocktail or your mocktail. I don't have either one because I really just got home from work and I have buble. So that's what I have today. But you know, I always have something funky going on a Friday so that we can have somewhat fun. So today we're going to chop it up. We're going to do something a little bit different from the live at 5. We are definitely going to work at introducing the voices of our brothers. So, we have been in this, the Sharp Sexy Sisters has always been about women entrepreneurs, but you know what? We got to learn from our brothers too. We would be remiss if we don't learn from each other, especially in our community, especially in this day and time that we really, really need to learn from each other. So without further ado, one of our premier speakers that will be speaking on December 13th is John Michael Butler. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Dr. T,
Can you
how's
hear
it
me?
going?
Good. What you trying to fix
Am I
over
coming
there?
through okay?
Yeah.
Oh, it just sounded weird in my headphones. I usually use a different mic, but on my headphone it just sounded a little weird, so just was adjusting it.
Gotcha. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So, my name is John Michael Butler. I'm a kid from New York, born and raised Queens, New York. Shout out to Laurelton, Queens. And for the past 5 years now, I've been doing a podcast. It's called the Multifarious Man Podcast. My background is I'm an old theater kid. Love movies, love books, love film. I love to read. My father was a librarian in New York by trade. So when other kids were at home when I was sick or during summer vacations, I was in the Queens Public Library system reading everything I could find, anything I could find. I was always proud that back then you had the juvenile library card and you had the adult library card. But because my father was the manager, I could take out any book I want. And if you remember, for some of you may not remember, but back in the days, when you had the card catalogs and there was a light pen that you had to check out your books. Now I think they just hold it under a scanner. So I would always have the fun of checking people's books out. But of course, I read everything. So loving to read, that's where kind of the Multifarious Man podcast came out. It was just me talking about books, talking about movies, giving recommendations. And then I realized I really enjoyed it and enjoyed interviewing people, talking to people, and people really wanted to hear what was the latest thing to watch, what was the latest movie, what was the latest thing on streaming services. And here it is 5 years later. I'm about to premiere the 5 years, the first episodes of the 5th season. And I'm excited to share what I know about podcasting, what I've learned, pitfalls, and ways to make things better, and just to, if you have a voice, to share it with people. And
Yeah, and that's let's talk about that voice of sharing it with others. I know for me, one of the things that you know as an entrepreneur, as a doctor, we're face to face with our patients. However, we're not really out on social media or things of that nature. So now I'm like, oh, you know what? My voice does need to be heard. A
mm-hmm,
lot of people, I've even with me doing these live, people are telling me, in DMs and stuff like that. They're like, Doc, keep doing what you're doing.
And I was like, really? Like, y'all are enjoying this? They was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll keep doing it. Because I didn't know that, that I had a voice. I
Yes,
didn't
and
know.
it's like everyone has experience, everyone has knowledge, and it's not just like I say, the lay people like me, but professionals like doctors have a voice. It's not just the lawyers that you see on TV that are advertising themselves and speaking about, and people are used to seeing billboards for lawyers. When you think about a doctor, regardless of what kind of doctor it is, most people, what they do is they get their insurance, they look up in the manual that you get, and they just pick somebody that's close. Or
Exactly.
nowadays, and even I admit I do this, I look at the pictures of the doctor and go, that's somebody I could probably work with. or or it's this family practice that you've always been with. Sometimes people just never change what their family practice is, and they just
Hmm.
take whoever they get. But
Right.
just like we're individuals, I'm realizing, that doctors are individuals and everyone has a unique point of view. And it's not just the person you show up and, you get your exam, whether it's an internal medicine or, a surgeon, an eye doctor, which I'm learning more and more as I get older, how important these eyes are.
Yeah,
um,
don't get me started on my post that I posted earlier.
so I know that, like you have a voice. You're used to seeing your patients, but it goes beyond that. And in this day and age with social media and how people consume information, you'd be amazed at how much information is being put out there. Because let's face it, anybody could just throw up a Wikipedia page or
Right.
anything. So it's even more important nowadays that you give quality information. And for yourself as a professional, I'm sure sometimes you cringe when you hear some of the things that are out there. All the invalid information, false information.
Oh,
It's
most
it's kind
definitely.
of part of just common sense is you want to make sure people have access to the proper information. So who better than to give that information than yourself? You have years of experience, so I know you have plenty to offer and to give beyond just, all right, come in and I'm going to give you
And
your eye exam.
get eye exam. Yeah. So tell us, don't give us too much, because you guys, right below is your free pass to the Voices of Our Brothers, Sharp Sexy Sisters Empowerment Conference, and it's going to be amazing. John is a podcaster. He's in his fifth season. Did you hear that? 5 seasons of podcasting. Um, so if this is adding any value, just say hey. If you're coming in, just say hey, say what's going on. Post any of your questions. If there's a question on there related to podcasting, I'll take a look before. But say hey, say what's going on. But I think we're in a season now where, again, I told you this before, I'm the type of person, when I come on, I do my research before I come on. 3.81 billion people are on social media. If you are a professional, if you are not a professional, if you have a passion, right? If you like, I was just talking with another friend of mine who that's her passion and her business with putting together. She's a fashion designer. Why not have a podcast related to that? Like you just said, whether or not you are doing somebody that is famous or not, you don't have to. Your voice can still be heard. And this is what we're talking about today. The Voices of Our Brothers, the Sharp Sexy Sister event is December 13th. That is not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Get your free pass today. We also have an all access pass, but you will get all that information once you register for this free event. All right, it is free. So tell us what's most, because we're talking about empowerment. Tell us what's most empowering about a podcast.
You are basically, for me, it's the creation part. You get to create something and put it out in the world. And whether one person listens to it or a million people listen to it, it's something that you actually get to create. You get to, put together your ideas. You know, you're not just talking into an empty space. You get to share your thoughts, your ideas. It can create a dialogue, but it's a platform to express your ideas, whatever they are. You know, it gives you that platform. For me, that's the exciting part of it is, you know, you always feel like you have something to say. And, you know, whether in a conversation with a friend or you send a text to someone, you know, like for me, I realized over the years, people will come to me and they think my opinion is important when it comes to what I'm reading or what I'm watching or what I'm listening to. Not to say that I'm an expert, but I've experienced enough and I've given enough good information. So if you tell people enough times that a show is good or a book is good or you know or a movie is good, and you kind of know them or they know you or you know what they kind of like, you can kind of tell people. I don't just say things just to go, oh, you got to check it out because it's the newest best thing. I feel like if I didn't like something or I did like something, just being honest. So being authentic and honest is important, because if you tell somebody, oh, you got to go see this, and they go out and see it and be like, man, that was garbage. Why didn't you tell me it was garbage? Then,
Right.
that's a problem. So it's kind of like,
Well, do you when you are on your podcast, if you're talking about a movie, do you give bad critic?
yeah,
Okay.
if it's
Bad
something
critique?
that if it's something I didn't enjoy for a particular reason, I'm gonna say it. If I didn't like it, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because you have to, and it's not just, oh, I'm just gonna tell you this was great. I'm not, of course, the type of person that's just gonna like stomp on something because again, it was someone else's creative vision. But I'm gonna tell
Right.
you what I liked about it or what I didn't like about it. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, this is the worst ever, because I'm sorry. Even the worst movie, in your opinion, or the worst book, it has things about it that you can take from it. You can use it as an
Awesome.
example. If you think about it, there's probably movies or that we've all watched that you like, man, I can't believe I watched that. That movie was so bad. But whether you laugh, whether it's escapism, and people don't have enough of that today. It's okay to enjoy something, that's frivolous. We work
Right.
hard. Our day-to-day lives or real life is happening. COVID
Right.
is
We
is
have we
real.
have a COVID is real, y'all. COVID is real. Did y'all see my post with all my stuff on while I was seeing patients today? It's like, yes. We have a question. What's your drive when doing podcasts? I don't want to mess up your name, so I'm going to say Harky. What's your drive?
Hey, Jermaine.
Oh, you know this person. Awesome. Awesome.
um, my drive is if I'm excited about something, I want to share it. And I think the arts are so important. Culture and
Mm,
the arts are so important. People want to, whether it's a documentary or whether it's a soap opera. I mean, let me honest. There's a place in any culture, the arts are the driving force for it. All of our dreams, all of our aspirations. If you think about it, anyone that has a business or that was an entrepreneur, it had to start somewhere. You had to dream about something. Um, Art is part of that. It reflects our failures, our successes, the things that make us happy, the things that make us sad, and being able to enjoy that and share it. That's part of what drives me to do podcasts. I like hearing people talk about something that they're doing, whether they're a writer, whether they're a singer. I like being able to talk to people about how they took their vision and what it became. Whether it's something they're only sharing with their family or they have a business where they actually have people or a product that they're selling. I think that's important because, how do you get people to, be a patron? It has to start somewhere. And I think the story behind it is so important, for people to share with how they got from A to B, how you got from your dream to how you got to what you're actually sharing with the world. So for me, that's the exciting part, is getting people to come out of their shell and actually have their voice be heard. I like being the fly in the world on the wall, asking them the questions that'll get them to actually express themselves, and be able to share what they have.
So when you're doing your podcast, I'm going to put this up because it's something that I talked about before, especially when we're trying to, as I'm trying to build the life coach and and sustainable business coaching practice. I always say that it's when I'm in front of you that you need to take off your cape. Is that something that when I say that is more or less kind of be honest and take off all of the stuff? Like, is that when you're interviewing people for your podcast, is that something that you kind of, ask them to do?
I not in so many words, but it's how the dialogue. It's making people feel comfortable. I mean, think about it. If someone comes to your home and you want them to feel comfortable, you're not going to be like, you'll offer them something to drink. You're going to give them a comfortable chair and kind of have that conversation. Make it a conversation because, you know the old joke when you see people, what is most people's fear? It's public speaking.
Right.
If you tell someone they're going to be up on stage, they're like, oh man, I can't do that. And I find this in many cases, whether it's at work, whether it's in church, sometimes people just are not comfortable feeling like they're on stage. But if it's just a conversation, hey, tell me about yourself,
Right.
listening, if you hear something that someone told you, you can ask a question in a way where you know how they're going to answer before they answer. It makes people comfortable when you ask them something with they're comfortable with, because then it just becomes more of a conversation. Whether it was something you chatted about before you were interviewing them,
Mm-hmm.
that's the big part of it is, that kind of research and that background. And then, it's like, hey, I remember you brought that up, so I'll throw that question out and then have the person just kind of, you see people light up
When
when
yeah.
you see that, and then before they know it, they relax. They don't feel like they're on stage, or it's like, oh, I'm looking at the camera or the microphone. It's like no, it's like you want people to feel at ease.
Yes.
And people are at ease when they're talking about something that they know. And what is your passion? What is your business? Tell me about it. How
Right.
did you get to here?
Yeah. And when we're talking about a little bit about podcasting, and we're not giving you everything, guys, because you got to get into the workshop. But how would you like to expand? I know that you're here. What would you say you've done the 5 seasons? Where do you think you want to take your podcast next?
What I think I'm going to do more of, and this is what I find that I'm more excited about, not only having a regular schedule and like, hey, I'm going to do it. It's going to be, you can set your clock to it. It's going to come out, this time of the week, whether it's weekly, monthly, I want to have it be more consistent because I think it's important. A schedule. I want people to know, hey, I can't wait till that next episode comes out. I was talking to someone earlier. I like The Mandalorian. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yes, me too. I'm
You
watching
know,
that.
you know when the next episode's coming out. I
That's
want
true.
people to have that same excitement that they can set their clock to it. It's like, man, I know that I'm gonna pick up my phone on, Saturday morning or Monday morning, and I'm gonna have the latest episode of Multifarious Man. And I can't wait to see who he's interviewing. My real dream to be with it is to give entrepreneurs and creators, artists, performers a platform to let them tell people about what they're doing, tell people what they're excited about, and actually share that with the world. Because some people are good at, writing, performing, they're good at the business, but they're not good at talking about it. So I'd like to give people that platform to, have something that can, not only can they use it as part of their marketing, that they can share it with people. It's easy to do. Hey, I'm going to be on this show next week. How nice people like to be able to share that, even if it's just with family or they're just this
Right.
small community business. hey, I want you to check this thing out. You know,
Right.
it's a way for people to get their word out, to tell people about it. And what that's going to do, you have the next generation of entrepreneurs, the people that are on the fence, the people that have ideas about a business, or someone
Ooh,
that
you
maybe
said
has the
on the fence.
idea of, hey, I wanted to be a writer, but I never thought I could do it. But here's this interview you had with someone that sounds just like me, with a regular 9 to 5 job, and now they're publishing their own books. There's so many different things that you have access to. And I'd like to be a part of that spark, because that's what excites me. I mean, it's like, hey, I can help someone else with their dream. And that's, I'm excited about that.
And I would say, for those that are kind of watching, is, this whole Facebook and meeting and putting stuff together. John Michael's like my little brother. So, but he's more of a best friend to my brother. And through COVID, I consider myself what I deem a serial entrepreneur. And one of the things that allowed me to sit down was, what's next? Because God was like, do something else, do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I do is in line with helping others. If you've seen some of my posts, I've said, if your product is not helping others, you need to go back to the drawing board. And so with Sustain Your Biz Academy and Sustain Your Biz and even Sharp Sexy Sisters, it is about opportunities for
Mm-hmm.
improvement. It's about, helping small business. Like, I've had a conversation about small businesses, right? With the money that was supposed to trickle down to small businesses. Do your homework, do your research, because technically, small businesses, you would be amazed at the dollar amount as to what a small business is. And I will talk about that. Don't want to give too much away, because I'm going to talk about that at the conference.
You made a good point there. And it's not giving away secrets, but I bet you wouldn't be surprised how many people with small businesses didn't think they qualified for a lot of these government programs, and they didn't
Yep.
even apply. They were like,
Apply.
I'm not going to get that. And there's money that it's to be had. I mean, and a lot of it is not being afraid to try. And I get it, and I say this, as a Black man, I get it, where, you're so used to, well, that, that's not for me. That door's not for me. You're used to that no. But if you don't take the chance, or ask the question, or speak to the right people, filling out applications, or just making the right phone call, or doing your research, if you just say, I don't have a chance, then of course, you miss every shot you don't take.
and
So,
and that's, and again, you're touching, I have this in queue, and it's not even, we didn't, y'all, this was impromptu. I was like, I came home from work, I was like, we got to promote Sharp Sexy Sisters, the Voices of Our Brothers event. And it's funny that everything that we're talking, see how divine this is, everything that he's talking about, this is what I'm saying. How do you show up as an entrepreneur? How do you show up as a CEO? You cannot be afraid of the what? No. And trust me, y'all, we probably, John and I probably was like, yeah, we ain't gonna do that, because they gonna say no.
yeah.
I mean, we're all in the same boat, but you gotta pull up, move up, put it on, and go for it. Like, I would even say, like, so many times I'll talk about government contracting in the workshop. I've done government contracting. I've put out RFPs. If anybody knows what that means, I'm not going to tell you what it means. You're going to do your homework and you're going to find that out. I've done RFPs and I've been turned down. And did that stop me? No. In the midst of COVID, I got another one that I applied for twice and was told no. Now this year I got it. So you gotta, guys, come to the empowerment conference. It's free. Get your pass. It's free, because everything that we're going to talk about is how to help you in your business, how to maybe create a business. It may not even be a business. John is going to talk about how to do your own podcast. What are you passionate about? You can create your own podcast. If it's doing puzzles, if it's listen, I'm watching my hold on, you're probably gonna do the same thing. I'm watching my daughters watching YouTube about video games
I
and
the
on
stuff that
Minecraft.
yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Come on, people. Come on. Now they didn't start out with all the numbers, and that's what I keep trying to tell people. Stop looking at other people, do you, and then grow with it. Like John has been in there for 5 seasons. He did not stop. He said, listen, if you made a point, you said if only one person listens or if millions of people listen, I'm still gonna do my podcast. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's, you know, and I'll call my sister out, my sister Jonda, like she
I'm
was
gonna
like,
put you in
hey,
for a second.
she's like, when's the next episode coming out? And, you know, she notices when it's not. So, you know, I appreciate things like that. And it's like knowing that even if it's just one person, you know, an audience of one is still an audience.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I, you know, it's stuff like that that kind of keeps me going and reminds me that, yeah, it, you know, it does. I mean, I'll get emails every once in a while, or, you know, here's the stats are like, oh, somebody downloaded, you know, this many episodes this week. And I'm like, oh, wow. You know, it's nice knowing that, you know, something that I created has a longevity. And you know, whether it may something you do today may not be important to someone today, it may be important to them a year from now, 2 years from now. You know, I kind of learned that in general, there's a season for everything. Sometimes people aren't ready to what you have to say, or what you're not ready to hear what someone has to say. But 6 months from now, 2 weeks from now, you know, you may be in that mind space and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And, you know, the information is there. So that's the key for me. It's like, you know, you shouldn't let anything stop you. And there's so many opportunities today to do so many things. The barrier to entry has never been lower. Like that's the, Dr. T, I mean, I've seen from, you know, what you've done and, you know, your videos and your consistency, you know, that's something I'm learning is the consistency is everything. You know, don't be afraid to try and keep doing things, but be consistent. And, you know, you'll learn and you'll get better as you go along. Anything that you're doing. It's like if you don't practice, if you don't keep doing it, you're not going to get better if you don't keep doing it, no matter what it is.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta push forward. Let me see if anybody made any comments here. Nope, no more comments. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, um so again, Harky said that was a great question about, what is the next level for podcast. You really honed in on that. And again, we definitely want to thank everybody that is watching right now. Again, anybody else have any questions related to podcasting? This is your time to ask. Because we have about a couple more minutes. I don't be on here long. I'm about half hour. Keep it moving, right? Keep it moving. And everybody's attention spans are different. Like I know for me, my attention span, I usually when I'm watching somebody live, my attention span is about a half hour, for them. Thank you guys
Oh,
for watching.
that's how our brains are wired these days. It's that, you know, that short attention span. It's like that's why TikTok is so popular.
Yeah.
Because people watch things in bite size, that's why I'm even surprised that serialized TV is making a comeback, because people usually like standalone episodes. But there's a reason why something like Law and Order has been around for so long, because you could watch it and not watch it for years, and you hear that don't, and you'll sit and watch an
You
episode,
sit
and
there.
it doesn't
Yep.
matter. And
Yeah.
whereas some shows, and don't get me wrong, there's a place for it. Something like The Mandalorian, you got to watch episode after episode. But I
Yeah.
think with the rise of streaming services where people can binge watch, You can kind of pick and choose. You can jump in, jump out to certain things, or you can stay focused for a weekend.
That's true.
But holding people's attention, it's not easy, because someone usually has a phone in their hand, or they have their
That's it.
smartwatch, or there's just so
It's
many
just
different things.
so much. But you guys, listen, we are going to end up. I want to thank John Michael Butler for joining us tonight at Live at 5. I know we came on at 6:30, but I had to work today. But I wanted to come on to tell you guys to get your Sharp Sexy Sisters, the Voices of Our Brothers Empowerment Conference. Is for entrepreneurs, or if you just want to hear, what we have to say. We have John coming in, we have Shay Sams coming in, and we have Dr. Norma, and we have Carl Lewis, and he will be playing the sax. So it's going to be like a little Sunday brunch vibe, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can network, talk about some of your issues related to, especially now that we're in COVID-19 and the pandemic, and then where you want to go and how you're going to improve. So it's bit.ly /SYBA, the triple S, December is DEC, and it's free. Okay, so don't forget to get your pass. It is next Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday, to get in. Now, go in there now to academy.medismybiz. That's medismybiz.org. And you can also get the all access pass. The all access pass is going to give you the workshops that everybody has worked hard at putting together so that you can learn. This is why I created Sustain Your Biz Academy, for those that want to learn, want to grab a new skill, want to network, and just make things happen or change in your life as an entrepreneur. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you on the other side. John, stay on.